Welcome to the Spare Parts Racing Podcast, your podcast for all things motorsports. With your hosts, Sean Chavarella, Stephen Clary, and Taylor Moore.
Hear that music?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Spare Parts Racing. I'm your host, Sean.
I'm Taylor.
And so this is, I guess, our second episode of the week. Because I did one with Steven the other night, and, because scheduling is a bitch, and I'm the only one with no life, apparently.
I would disagree with that. I think you have plenty of life. This week was just... What?
If my life was a candle, it's already at the bottom. Not a whole lot of life.
Okay.
Anyway.
It was a busy week.
It was. And it's going to be a busy weekend, because where are you, Taylor?
I'm at the track. I'm at CTMP. But, really should be Mosport, but, technically CTMP. But anyway, I'm at the track this weekend.
Because, it looks like you're in a shed of a serial killer. Just looking at the background, I just see wood paneling all around. A dingy window.
I'm in the trailer. I'm in Peter's trailer, which... Have I ever told you a story about how he got this?
Nope. Now you are.
Okay. So if you could see this fridge over here, there's a fridge, a mini fridge. So he paid $60 for the fridge and the trailer came with it for free.
I'm sorry, what?
So this trailer is it's been here for so long. It's very much from the 70s. I'm pretty sure it's from 75 or something like that. But yeah, the guy who had it beforehand just wasn't coming back, and I guess he didn't want to pay the $3,000 to haul it out of the park, and it probably wasn't worth that much. And yeah, so he just said, pay me $60 for the fridge, and that was that.
Okay.
So that's the story of the trailer. It's falling apart. The door is quite literally falling off. You'll see when you come visit. But
okay,
it's falling off. Yeah, you'll see it Saturday. It's peeling. I have no electricity for the night because the breaker blew. So that's fun.
Good. That's a good start. I think that's usually how horror movies begin, is having no electricity. And at least we're still in contact.
You're right.
If all of a sudden you just cut off, I'll be worried.
Will die?
Oh
my gosh.
Yeah, you're getting murdered.
Okay, let's not put that out into the universe, please.
No, it's definitely out there. So.
No, don't say that. I'm not going to sleep tonight now.
Do you ever sleep?
Yes. I'm not a vampire. I sleep.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Fine. I'll allow it. So you are at the track, and I guess for me and Steven, we covered most of the NASCAR IndyCar stuff from this weekend. Well, so I could save the F1 stuff for you. I just know you got a little more passion, a little more fire in you than Steven.
Always.
Yeah, I know.
Always.
So.
We don't have our monotone person, though. What are we going to do?
I don't know, be entertaining for once? Who knows?
All of the new subscribers.
Exactly.
All of the new listeners.
It's just because Steven's not here. So please just like and subscribe and follow us and everything just to spite Steven. If the internet does anything well, it's spite Steven. Or spite anyone, really.
Hashtag spite Steven.
Yes. Anyway, so F1 this weekend at Austria. I want your thoughts on the event and the race.
I thought it was a decent race. I feel like everybody's commentary is always just oh, well, Max Verstappen won again. It's not really that interesting. And I watched it with Peter's family, who's all into motorsports. So hearing their commentary is oh, well, now Max won it, literally after lap 1. And I was you never know. Yes, but also you never know, stuff can happen in a 71 lap race, but he did win. The penalties were, oh my gosh. track limits was a thing. And also,
Yes.
Lewis Hamilton, please shut the fuck up. Like, honestly.
Okay, I think that I don't have any fault for what Lewis did. Everyone was doing it. You know, Lewis was bitching about track limits. Lando was bitching about track limits. Like, everyone was. Like,
Oh, no. And I'm not saying that they're not. It was just, I think for me, it was funny when Toto like comes in and is like, all right, I like, even Toto had enough at one point.
Like, yeah,
He's
we
like,
get it. It's
just drive
shit.
the fucking car.
Yeah.
Like, just drive.
Just like, hey, isn't there a song like, just be quiet and drive a car or something like that?
Oh, copyright.
I'm referencing "Shut Up and Drive," obviously. You know.
I know, but I was
Okay.
gonna sing it, and I was like, I don't know, we're gonna get muted if I sing it.
I don't know. Maybe if you sing it, that might be more of a crime against humanity. So maybe we don't go
Okay.
there.
Absolutely rude. I don't have that bad of a voice. Thank you very much. I was a star at karaoke that one time.
Okay. If you say so.
Look, me and a mic and never gonna give you up. 10 out of 10.
Yes, and thanks for also just drinking in the mic. That was really, really good.
So sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't know you would hear that.
Yeah, because your mic is like dangling right next to your neck, I can hear you swallow that. And I am leaving that in. I am not taking that out. So, okay. So back on track, because F1 drivers couldn't do that.
Truth.
Yep, exactly. So, as you go for another sip, I absolutely love the confidence that you're not going to make a noise this time. Way to go, Taylor. Do not lose your drink. Oh, this is going so well. I love this. So, yeah. F1, we ended up having Max Verstappen essentially run away with the race. Again, not a whole lot to say about him. Towards the end, he had the whole, I want pit for fastest lap. His team went, no.
Yeah.
Max said, bitch, did I stutter?
Like, did I stutter?
he just did it. And it's like, okay, fine. Fine. You want that? Go ahead.
Honestly, mad respect, though. Like, you have to have some balls on you to just be like, I don't really care what you say. I'm just going to do what I want.
Yeah. Honestly.
It's also Max. Like,
it's almost
like
Max. He's a super Max. Huh? No.
Max, super Max.
See, crime against humanity. See?
Okay, rude. Anyway, I don't really, like, I'm not sure I have, like, any notes beside the track limits penalties that were, like, absolutely insane in terms of, like, how many there were. But otherwise, like, I have no notes.
Perez had a terrible qualifying again. Started way behind. Still came in to finish third. So race pace was there, but bad luck in qualifying. And you know what? That happens. But he's showing pace. He's kind of back to there. Like, I think when Perez, he was out in Q2, I think it was?
Yeah, it was Q2. Like, he qualified 15th because of track limits. Like, his lap got deleted.
Yes, that was it.
I mean, can we now say that Perez proved himself and perhaps is no longer in hot water for his seat?
No.
Fair enough.
If he had made it out of Q2, yes, because he again failed to be out of Q2. If he had finished second, no problem. But yeah, he ran through the whole field and came third.
Yeah, I think they had really good strategy. Like, Red Bull did really well on race day.
Yep.
I can't believe I wasn't going to, like, I said I had no notes. I have tons of notes. What am I talking about? Charles Leclerc got P2.
And in qualifying, he was less than a 100th away. Like, it was a tight qualifying.
It was a tight qualifying, and I'm like, I was very impressed with how Ferrari did. I mean, it sucks for Sainz that I think, like, you could tell he was frustrated. I know he played the team game, but yeah, it just sucks for Sainz, but I'm happy for Leclerc. Yay! Finally, a Ferrari didn't disappoint.
Yeah, I would say that Ferrari had a decent weekend. There was that one point where Sainz was kind of like, hey, let me pass him. Yeah. But that kind of came to nothing, and that's Ferrari just being, no, you stay. So
No, you stay. Yeah. It wasn't terrible.
And like, there was some decent racing up and down the whole thing. I think Stroll, did he have like a 4-stop race or something?
Yeah, it was something like that. He had a
Yeah.
lot of stops.
Yeah, he stopped way too many times. I don't know why Aston Martin seems to be screwing over his strategy.
Yeah, honestly, because
Yeah,
it was a safety car, right?
yeah, the
Like they
virtual
wanted
safety
to.
car. Aston Martin blew
Yeah.
that completely.
Oh, so
Because
blew that,
they
and
were
like
running,
you could.
they were running second, third. They
Yeah.
double stacked. Safety car
Yeah.
ended with them in the pit lane,
Yeah.
and they
No,
got blown
with
by.
Stroll still in the pit, but
No,
I think
Alonso was in the
was
pit
out.
too. Alonso was getting out. Stroll was stopped.
Oh, it's terrible.
So
They
Alonso,
botched that.
yeah, they
completely.
blew that completely. Because yeah, if they didn't do that, Alonso is definitely probably on the podium again.
Most likely, but
Yeah.
yeah, they had a bad race. Well, for strategy, like it's not like they had a terrible race and they didn't, like they weren't in the top 10. Like they were still in the top 10, but they could have done a lot better. Their strategist like was not on the ball. They
No.
pulled a Ferrari.
Yes, 100%, 100% did. I mean,
Which is shocking to me.
but their strategy has been kind of sus for the last few races. I'm not gonna lie. It's like the second you get up there with the big boys in the front, like this is something Ferrari's been doing, you overthink it and you start doing these extra unnecessary stops that are just dumb. Just let the pace of your car be its strategy. So yeah, Aston kind of got screwed themselves over. Mercedes were kind of out in La La Land, to be honest, in this race.
Yeah.
They didn't look like they had a lot of pace. But like on the flip side, then you had a guy like Norris, who McLaren all of a sudden looks like they're good. And I'm really curious how they're going to do this weekend at Silverstone.
I don't know. McLaren surprised me. Like, I didn't think that Norris would have the pace that he did, but yeah, they really surprised me. I mean, Piastri, I'm going to relish in his failures all season because I had kind of the karma vibes, but I mean, good for Norris.
I mean, Piastri didn't have the upgrades. Only Norris did.
Okay, well then maybe we'll see better things from Piastri in Silverstone. We'll have to see how that plays out. I could see them maybe being, like, definitely, maybe both within the points.
Yeah, honestly, maybe. If both McLarens end up in the points in the weekend, and we can talk about this later when we get to like predictions for the weekend. If both get in the points, I think that's as close to a win you'll get all year for them.
Yeah, there's no way that they could compete. I mean, no one could compete with Red Bull at this point.
Honestly.
For a win, unless they have to have bad luck. That's the only way that Verstappen's not going to win a race this season. Or Perez.
Yeah. Fuck it. I hope they take each other out at one point at least.
Honestly, wouldn't that be so entertaining?
It would be.
Like, come on, racing gods, do it for the fans.
Do it for the
Give
lulls.
us something. Oh, yeah, just the lulls, the shits and gigs.
Yeah, then we could all start threading about it instead of tweeting about it. You thread about it because it's threading now. Listen, I didn't make up with the rules for what it's called. Listen, it just is.
When you asked if you have threads, I was like, what threads are you talking about? Like my Marshall threads? Like my whites? Like, are you talking about clothing? Because, like, isn't that a slang term?
I think maybe a decade ago it was, yes.
Okay. Whatever. It's still a thing.
But yeah, besides that, I don't really have much else to talk about when it comes to the finishing order. We definitely have to talk about the whole penalty thing, because that was hilarious and sad at the same time.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like during the race, it was shocking how many track limits point or penalties got handed out, and then after.
What was that? Am I getting murdered?
I don't fucking know.
Okay,
I don't know.
After what? You can't just stop mid-sentence. You gotta carry on. Even if you're getting murdered, you carry on the podcast.
Sorry. I thought it was an animal. Anyway,
Ooh, a pet.
Definitely not a pet. after the race had finished and then Aston Martin launched their complaint.
Did you hear that Aston Martin went through all of their laps before they lodged it to make sure their drivers did not commit any infractions?
I love that.
They watched the race over and checked to make sure none of them did. And then they lodged the protest.
Which, well, I mean, good for them.
Yeah, honestly. It worked
Good for being thorough. But yeah, it was crazy. De Vries, I was like, dude.
Oh.
Yikes.
De Vries, ouch. Ocon just getting slapped with 30 seconds or something like that?
Yeah.
It was rough.
Because he got penalties. Yeah, because he got
a 5 and a 10, I think a 5 and a 10 or something like that.
Yeah, it was so bad for Ocon. Ugh.
Yeah, not a good one for him. Didn't Sainz have one? I thought George and Lewis had one, and Gasly.
I think Lewis had one. I don't think George had one. I think Lewis had one, and that's what put him up.
Okay. But yeah, it was quite the, I guess, you had to wait a while to actually find out the final results, which is kind of weird for once.
Yeah. But yeah, it was crazy. I was like, wait, what? How many infractions there was, and it's interesting because I'm glad, on the one hand, I'm glad that they're being strict about it because it is a rule. Follow your regulations. The rules are the rules. And on the other hand, it's shocking to see just how easy it is to go outside the track limits, but also how costly it gets, right?
Yeah. And this is the whole thing with track limits. If you can't police it accurately and need a team to protest it, why have it?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want someone cheating that, put a wall there. I know it's archaic and terrible, but also it's if you give a driver an inch, they will
take a mile.
Exactly. Or as much room as they can and not lose the car. But it's the stupidest thing that you're on that, and all of a sudden track limits. Oh, you go over it and you're done.
Yeah.
And
I think was it.
Did you see how many track limits violations there were that they had to sift through?
No.
There were
1,200
different instances of track limits that they had to go through before they dished out the penalties and everything. If your system, that is at what? Pretty much someone a lap is going off. At least multiple people.
Yeah, at least.
It was a 70-lap race, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not all track limits technically count.
Yeah, depending on how far off they are, I guess.
Yeah. You basically had and some track limits are maybe, some are not. But yeah, you basically had to go through the entire race again and check if someone went over track limits. That is nuts.
I mean, no, and no wonder it took a lot of time for them to dish them out, because if you're doing that, you're watching for millimeters.
But if you're going to it's the same thing in sports a hockey or a football or a baseball when you're having video review. If you're going off of tiny little millimeters in a play, then you're just doing this for the sake of doing it. If the tiniest millimeter that you may not be able to see on your TV unless you have a fucking 70-inch 4K TV where you can really get in and see if they were over that line or not or something. When it's that close of a margin, it doesn't matter. Right?
Yeah.
You're just penalizing for penalizing's sake. You should penalize the egregious things, the things that obviously gain an advantage. And if it's obvious, but if you're just slightly over a line or maybe not, it's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
As an Aston Martin fan, they benefited from that. But as a fan of the sport, I'm looking at this okay, this is ridiculous. Either have no track limit penalties and just put a fucking gravel trap there, or I'll just go put a litter box beside it. Just go get some litter and just drop it on the track. that would be a better deterrent than this system where you have to be watching the car at the right moment on the right angle, because some angles look like it's over, some are not, and then basically decide whether, yep, that's over track limits, that's not. And like you're saying, you're trying to be black and white with it, but if it's so black and white, then why couldn't you keep up with all of the track limits violations? And yeah, it's a bit much. And as much as I like the idea of the protest being like, hey, these are your rules, stick to them, which, you know what? I agree. You've set the precedent that going over the track is this. If you've deleted all these people lap times, because that was the whole, I guess, catalyst that started it all, was Aston Martin said there was over 100 laps deleted in the race for track limits. We only saw a few penalties handed out. Where were all these? Like, you know, if they had their lap time deleted, then obviously they should be penalized. So then FIA went, fuck, yeah, you're right, and had to go back through. So I love it for the fact that the FIA had to eat their own words, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's a bittersweet thing where it's like, okay, well, on the one hand, the FIA gets proven how dumb track limits are. On the other hand, we're making the sport kind of look like a farce because we can't even keep track of our own rules. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, you know, like at Silverstone, it's not going to be so much of an issue, and I'm hoping that we get like a little bit more of like a cleaner race in that sense, where we're not dealing with these like crazy penalties or like crazy number of penalties. Yeah, like I'm not going to be able to watch the race, but I'll watch it when I get home.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, you could watch it while marshalling. Are you actually marshalling this weekend?
I am.
Ah, that's fair.
I am.
So I actually won't see you a whole lot until after on Saturday.
Yes, but I will tell you which corner I'm at so you can come and visit.
That's fair. I can just do that.
Hopefully I'll be at a good one.
I can just walk to a corner.
Yeah?
Really? Oh, awesome.
What do you mean? Oh, we have to... Meeting afterwards. We have to go over this.
Okay, yeah, because you've told me nothing of what's happening this weekend. So yeah, we'll go over it.
Well, when you sent a message being like, do I have to buy tickets? I'm like, sir, no.
I don't know.
No, I'm a marshal. I get you in.
Advantages.
Marshals have privileges.
That is fair.
Be a marshal. Yay.
Maybe I probably will next summer. I'll join you next summer with that. When
you should. It's so much fun. I'll tell you when the school is.
Yes. Anyway, back to F1. Anything else to cover besides penalties and all that shit?
I don't think so. Like, I can't think of anything else that stood out that we haven't talked about.
You want to talk about predictions for this weekend?
Absolutely.
Okay. Silverstone. What do you think?
Yes. Well, you sent me a meme today.
I sent it last night at like.
Oh, you sent it last night? Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
okay.
You were bad because you're like an old lady and go to sleep at like 8.
Okay. I was in bed by 10 last night. I was watching Dateline. That doesn't make me sound any less old lady-ish.
You sound like an old lady.
Correct. Anyway, okay, so one of these weeks, I swear, it's going to come true, but I think Alonso will win.
Oh
and let me tell you why.
It's not going to be this week, though.
Why not?
Because the Aston Martin sucks at high-speed, high-downforce tracks.
I know you're right, but like, what if, hear me out, what if Lewis and Max have like a replay of like 2 years ago?
It requires Lewis to be close to Max.
Well, he kind of was. At one point.
Was he being lapped, or like what happened then?
I mean, he may have been being lapped. Anyway.
No, he wasn't, but
okay,
like,
fine.
It wasn't close.
What if the Red Bull mysteriously blows up? I don't know. Something might happen. But you know me. I always go with like the what if scenario of Red Bull having bad luck, because otherwise our predictions would stay the same every week.
Yeah, it's just Red Bull, Red Bull, Red Bull. Okay. And I agree.
And that's
with that.
boring.
I agree. It's boring.
It's boring.
That's fair. So you're gonna say, so okay, let's say this: if Max isn't the one to win, the person that
Yes.
you would select to be best of the rest is Alonso.
Yes.
Okay. For me,
Mm-hmm.
I am going to say, and again, this is a very weird role reversal I feel for the two of us here. Okay.
I swear on my life, if you say Ferrari,
Leclerc was that close to beating him on pole.
what's happening to us? You're
I
an
know,
Aston
right?
Martin fan, and I'm a Ferrari fan.
And
This
we're
is not
switching
right.
completely. So
This is not right.
if he can be that close, then I am going to say yes. I think Leclerc, if they get more time to work on race pace setup, because the sprint race and all that shit, they didn't really have time to work on it. They may find a window where that car can actually compete against Red Bull. So I am going to be hopeful that Leclerc can beat Max.
You know what? I love this for us.
And if Steven's here, he would just tell us you're both wrong. It's going to be Perez.
Well, you know what? Steven is lame. We covered this.
Exactly. And that's why everyone should follow us and like us to spite Steven.
Yes. Okay. So, like, disclaimer: we do love Steven, but also do it out of spite.
Yes, exactly.
Hashtag spite Steven. Let's get this trending.
I am not. No. There's no more hashtags on Threads, so that's not a thing.
Okay, so we're completely ditching Elon Musk now.
Yeah.
Elon Musk is out the. Ow!
Ha! What'd you just hit?
I hit the car part.
Okay, you have to now show the car part and explain what you mean by that.
So there is a. Whoop! There is a piece of an IMSA car hanging in the trailer that Peter got.
That is the left.
Or he acquired.
Left rear. Is that left rear? No, I think that's. Okay, no, I think that's the front right. No. Let me see that again.
No, it's the.
I think it's the left rear.
Yes, it's the left rear.
Left rear quarter panel of the Vassar Sullivan Seal Master car from last year, you said?
Believe it was last year. Yes.
That's fair.
Yeah, it hangs in the trailer. Yeah, there's a lot of like different pieces of things that are around Happy Valley here at Mosport. It's very interesting.
I'm a fan. I am a fan of it.
I'm pretty sure like there are some people who've collected enough car parts to like build their own car.
I mean, didn't Peter get a piece of Yuki's car last year? Are we not allowed to mention that part?
Gonna cut this out.
Oh, whoops. I mean...
Super top secret.
Yeah, no idea what happened there.
The FIA will never know.
Yep, never. Maybe they should have had better security.
Okay, the security at the Grand Prix is like... Oh, actually, that is the one last thing that I could talk about. That I did notice all of the flares that were at the Austrian Grand Prix, and like...
Right.
I'm like, didn't flares get banned last year because they're all horrible with them and fans throw them on the track like they did on Friday?
Weren't Dutch fans also pricks last year at the Austrian Grand Prix and kind of got called out on social media for that?
Yes, because they were being horrible.
Yeah.
And it seems like, I mean, to be like, the security at Grand Prix is like insanely bad. Like, when I was there, I had a security guard just like, I opened my bag, he looked in. He said, "Do you have anything dangerous?" And I said, "No." And he's like, "Are you dangerous?" And I said, "No." I was sent on my way.
I think he was hitting on you.
Gross.
I think you're misreading that.
But it was weird. It was still weird. But anyway, they don't really check through anything. They just like steal your alcohol. But I guess flares are fine, even though they're banned.
Yes.
That was my last note.
Okay, fair enough.
So did we make prediction? We did make predictions.
We did.
Okay, well.
Anyone else? Any other surprises you have for this week for Silverstone before we wrap up?
Lewis will not finish in the points.
Oh, that is a bold prediction, and I like it.
Actually,
Or gonna double down.
not that I have anything against the British drivers on the grid, but I don't think Russell's gonna finish in the points either.
Okay, so you're gonna have a double Mercedes out of the points. That is a bold one. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and this
I
is
think does Lando drive under the British flag?
Yes. Lando top 6 finish.
Sure, we'll go with that. He'll be
Yeah.
the only one.
Yeah. Okay, and here's where I'm going to have my bold prediction. So I'll say Lando top 6 finish is one. Not really bold.
Okay.
Mine is going to be both Williams in the points.
Ooh. Ew, even Sargent?
Even Sargent.
Oh, I hate that, but also love that bold prediction.
I think that
I like that.
I think it's a good one. I think so.
I think it's entirely possible with Albon. I think he's been close quite a few times. Has he had a top 10 finish? Has he had a points finish?
Yes, yeah,
I
Albon
think-
has. Albon
yes,
has. Yeah, he
right?
did in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so good for him. Yay.
And if you catch Austrian Grand Prix, they were 11th and 13th, I think.
Yeah.
So Sargent did better
Sargent
than everyone
finished,
else, and
which
you know
was
what?
good.
And he beat
was
Yuki,
something.
he beat K-Mang, beat DeFries, beat Piastri. You know, maybe he's getting some confidence. So double Williams point finish. That is my
All
bet.
right, I love it. All right, nice.
And
A double Williams point finish and a double Mercedes out of points finish.
Listen, I will bet on these. I will.
Okay, all right.
And yeah. So besides that, that's all we have for this episode, I think. Thank you for your time,
That's all we
Taylor.
got. Thank you.
Yes, and
I'm great.
We'll be back all together next week to yell at each other and to spite Steven and his lack of energy.
We'll 100% yell at each other.
There's no way he's also listening to this. I guarantee it. He's not going to even watch this episode.
You know what? I watched the entire episode of you and him. Unbelievable.
Oh, I will bet you $5 he's even listen to this.
Testing his commitment to the
Exactly.
podcast.
And that's why we're putting this right at the end to see if he even makes it here. Anyway,
Yes.
thank you very much. Follow us on all the social medias, including on Threads, and we'll be back next week. Thank you, and goodbye. And fuck you, Steven.
Thank you for tuning in to the Spare Parts Racing Podcast. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and follow the show on Twitter at Spare Parts Racing. That's Spare Parts RACIN, and on TikTok at Spare Parts Pod. Follow the hosts at Sean Chavarella, at Stephen Clary, and at Tay Moore.